Hey, what's happening, guys? What's going on YouTube? You guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. We got a ton of stuff to cover in today's video. We're going to be talking about some economic stories, some business stories, some various current events. Mexican beer cases rising in LA County. They're thinking about bringing back the things you put on your face. The Kanye Woohoo controversy. We're going to be talking about a little bit about Disney going woke. Disney maybe going unwoke. No, Disney is staying woke. New CEO. We're talking about inflation. We're talking about recent comments from Biden, mortgage rates falling, Janet Yellen blaming the American people for inflation, Sweden considering banning electric vehicles, even though everyone's trying to mandate electrical vehicles in the U.S. and across the world, Tesla's new badass truck, and a whole lot of other stuff. Let me know what you guys think about the this kind of new format I've been doing for the past couple of videos. And I know I've been doing a lot of like current events and stuff like that lately. Earlier today, I made a video about Amazon merch raising prices. I'm going to try to get back into more of the business side hustle, how to make money stuff, more kind of actionable things. But I also kind of like covering a lot of these current event stories. I don't get a lot of time to put out content. And this content, I think, at least to me, it's interesting, helps me stay up on things. And it's pretty easy to put this content together. I know in the past I was, covering individual stories, but I ramble. The video turns into a really long thing. If you're not interested in that particular story, it's a long video about something that doesn't interest you. And also most of those videos, I think, are longer than is necessary to convey what the story is about. So I kind of like this format where we run through kind of a lot of different kind of curated news and stories about business and the economy and a lot of other things. So let me know if you guys like the format. Let's hop right on into this. It's Friday. Forget the date. I was going to give you guys a date. Let's first talk about China. I'd recommend checking out a video from Stoic Finance. I don't know if you guys are subscribed to him. I like his channel. He covers a lot of economic news, and I kind of like his insights on things. I'm not going to get too into this. I'd just recommend going to watch his video, but he kind of talked about a lot of things that you guys may or may not be hearing. The other week there was a fire that killed a bunch of people because China had welded everybody into their apartments. Let's see, what else do we got? The World Cup is going on right now, and China is actually blurring the crowds because China does not want their people to see that they are the only country that's locked down and the rest of the world is free and going to the World Cup and going to sporting events. So China is actually blurring the crowds. It's kind of funny. It kind of reminds me of back when we were locked down and fans weren't going to baseball games and football games and MMA fights. They were actually photoshopping people into the crowds and playing, noise of crowds. It's kind of weird. Like when you look back on it, it's like, did they kind of want us to forget the fact of what was going on and make us feel like things were as normal as possible? China is building these huge camps that house hundreds of thousands of people to lock people away. A buddy of mine who's a bigger conspiracy nut than me would often talk about FEMA camps, and this sounds kind of like FEMA camps. Australia was doing similar things, so was New Zealand. China is, they have these weird, crazy drones that fly above expressways and roads, and it hangs a QR code, and you have to scan the QR code as you're driving or walking by, and it'll either blink red and you can go about your way, or it'll blink, green and you can go about your way, or it will blink red and you are immediately seized by the authorities, and they either lock you in a storage container. Right now there's a taxi driver who is literally quarantined in his car, probably has no food, no water, isn't going to get any medical attention, and they've just wrapped like caution tapes around his car, and his car is just on the side of the road because he might be sick, so nobody wants to go near him. It's kind of funny. China acts like they want to save their people, yet they're welding them into their apartments and locking them up. Don't care if they have food, don't care if they have medications they need, don't care if they live or die, aren't providing medical attention. And it's kind of funny, I've brought this up a lot. Everybody is so empathetic towards Ukraine, but nobody seems to care about China. You got companies like Apple. Apple recently shut off airdrops for Chinese citizens. Apple has been trying to quell these protests. Yet Apple will be the first company to throw up a rainbow flag during Pride Month, or to throw up a Ukrainian flag to support Ukraine. But when it really, when it really comes to putting your money where your mouth is, or however the phrase goes, walking the walk. Apple is on the wrong side of history and is on the side of authoritarians and dictators in China. One thing to kind of keep in mind is, there are more of you than there are of the government. And fortunately here in the U.S., we have the Second Amendment and we have guns, even though, some people in our government are trying to take that away. Right now, they're trying to ban, arm braces, for basically trying to consider a lot of guns short-barreled rifles and make you either turn them in or get tax certificates. But just keep in mind, there are a lot more citizens than there are government, and make sure, if anything ever goes down, not to wait too long to where, the people can't fight back. And again, I'm not going to go too deep into the China thing. I just recommend checking out the Stoic Finance channel. But it'll be interesting to see, what the global economy looks like if China stays locked down and if the rest of the world kind of stops doing stuff with China. Let's see, what else do we have? Mexican beer cough cases are rising in LA County. They're considering bringing back indoor mask mandates. I saw an article the other day, actually I saw an article today titled, "Why Are So Many People Sick?" And they're trying to figure out why so many people are sick this fall and going into winter. I don't know why so many people are sick. Have you guys noticed a lot of people around you sick, a lot of coworkers sick, a lot of family members sick? Have no idea why it's happening. I know the media keeps talking about a combination of the Mexican beer cough, the flu, and that RSV virus or whatever it is. This is YouTube, so I can't get into this too much, but all I can say is that myself and pretty much most of my friends who haven't had any new medical procedures in the past 2 or 3 years, we seem to be doing fine. We're not getting sick, so we'll just leave that at that. Let's talk a little bit about the Kanye West Yoohoo controversy. Kanye West and Nick Fuentes, I think his name is, recently went on Alex Jones. I mean, Kanye has really gone off the deep end. With that whole issue that's going on, this is YouTube, so it's another issue that I probably can't speak too deeply on. But one thing I will say, it's interesting that Kyrie Irving basically had his career ruined, had to kiss everybody's ass and apologize to everybody for tweeting an Amazon link. The Amazon link was to a movie which made the claim that a lot of the slave owners were Jewish, a lot of the people who owned slave ships were Jewish, and a lot of the people who ran slave auctions were Jewish. Now, I haven't looked into this. I don't know if that's true or untrue, but there's a documentary out there on Amazon which makes this case. Now, Kanye West, Kyrie Irving tweeted out a link to this movie that's being sold by Amazon, and the media tore him down. The ADL, Jonathan Greenberg, everybody went after Kyrie. Everybody hates Kyrie. Kyrie's, an eccentric dude. He's a flat earther. He was very against the thing in your arm mandates. But everybody attacked Kyrie Irving. He was told he couldn't play basketball unless he donated money, apologized, did all this stuff. And yet, Amazon is still selling the movie and nobody says anything about Amazon. I believe Amazon CEO came out the other day and said, we're not taking the movie down. So everybody's mad at Kyrie Irving for sending a tweet with a link. Didn't say anything positive about the movie, didn't say he agreed with the movie, literally just sent a link. And he's the worst guy in the world. Yet Amazon, the one who's actually making this movie available and profiting off of this movie, nobody really has an issue with them. That's just absolutely crazy to me. And that's where things get kind of weird, right? When we talk about censorship and things like that, a lot of things are censored. Podcasts are censored, YouTube censored, social media censored. But traditionally, whenever people talk about censorship, kind of the, people talk about, what are you going to do? Burn the books? Because that's something that was done throughout history, is burning books, burning history. And because Amazon is essentially a bookstore, I think Amazon tries to be a little bit more open-minded about what they allow. Sometimes even too much, to the point that they allow books that promote pedophilia and stuff like that. But we're getting a little bit off topic here. I guess the point being, it's interesting that there's certain groups of people you're allowed to talk about. There's certain groups of people you're not allowed to talk about. Sometimes you're allowed to say facts. Other times, even if things are facts, you're not allowed to acknowledge that these things are facts. And initially, Kanye West basically said that a certain type of people control the media. I think that's kind of tame, and I think to some extent there maybe is some truth to some of that, just looking at the statistics. However, Kanye West has absolutely gone off the deep end. It's clear to me that he does kind of have hatred in his heart towards a certain group of people. It's one thing pointing out a fact. It's another thing, having kind of the vitriol behind your speech and kind of hating a certain group of people. Anyhow, Kanye West went on Alex Jones, did this like really weird puppet show with a net and a bottle of Yoohoo. And it's kind of funny now everybody's talking about Yoohoo. Yoohoo is like, I want to say probably like a 7-year-old company, if not older. Don't have a huge social media presence. I saw somebody had tweeted out, they said, they tweeted out a picture of Yoohoo's Instagram, or I'm sorry, not Instagram, a picture of Yoohoo's Twitter account, and they literally have like 300 followers. I don't think they've ever sent out a tweet. Like, they really don't seem to have a very robust social media department, presence, etc. And, now, even though, due to no fault of their own, but because of the thing that happened on Alex Jones with Kanye West, like, everybody's talking about Yoohoo. And in this day and age that we live in today, I imagine like Yoohoo's going to have to come out and make some statement and condemn Kanye West and say that they wish he hadn't used a bottle of Yoohoo to talk about Netanyahu. So I don't know if you've heard about that story or not. Check it out on Twitter. It's kind of interesting and kind of funny. Let's see. Apparently, Biden is going to speak to Putin for the first time. It seems like the entire world's appetite for this quote-unquote war in Ukraine is kind of waning. It turns out a lot of the aid that's gone to Ukraine is unaccounted for. We've seen a lot of instances, a lot of the weapons and a lot of the aid and a lot of the things that we've sent over there are being stolen and sold on the black market. I believe something came out that there were some U.S. troops on the ground in Ukraine, which I think were not supposed to be there. I also saw something the other day about how Romanian and Polish troops are actually fighting for Ukraine. I believe they refer to it as being sheep-dipped. If any of you guys were in the military, are in the military, know what that means, feel free to drop a comment. Apparently what that means is, and I believe this is on a voluntary basis, but Romanian soldiers and Polish soldiers who volunteer to do so are being sent over to Ukraine, put in Ukrainian uniforms, and fighting on the side of Ukraine. Apparently, or allegedly, recently, like 1,000 bodies, Polish bodies of Polish soldiers were returned to Poland, and now people are starting to kind of ask questions. But it seems like everybody's kind of appetite for this war and continuing to waste money over there, in something that is ultimately bound to be a failure, seems like that is kind of waning. Let's talk a little bit about Disney. Disney has a new CEO who's actually their old CEO. A lot of people have been saying Disney has been going woke. I saw an image on Twitter or Instagram the other day. On a Disney cruise ship, they have people who read stories to the kids. They have kind of a daycare type thing so that the parents can go on excursions or enjoy some time to themselves. And the person who's reading books to children is a man wearing high heels. I don't think it was a trans person because he wasn't dressed like a woman, didn't look like a woman, didn't seem to be trying to make himself appear as a woman, but he was wearing high heels. Now, is that the biggest deal in the world? Probably not. But as a parent, when you're on vacation, do you want to, and you send your kid to daycare, do you want them to come back asking you, hey, Mom, how come that guy reading us a story was wearing high heels? I didn't know he was. That's kind of fucking different, I guess. It's just like, why, I think most parents probably don't want to have to explain that to their kids. I don't know. Then there's the recent Disney movie that came out was kind of really pushing certain agendas, and it flopped at the box office. Disney has been seemingly making an effort to kind of push certain agendas. And when a new CEO came in, I think a lot of people thought maybe this kind of like woke agenda will kind of take a backseat to making good content. And don't get me wrong, right? Like, people don't have an issue with watching movies with gay people. People like gay movies. There have been gay movies that have been successes. The Birdcage, many other movies, but those movies were actually quality movies that featured stars and they were actually funny. But then people put out movies like Bros, and it's a terrible movie. There's no stars. Nobody wants to see it. And then people get upset as if everybody should run out and see this movie just because it's about gay people, as opposed to putting out a quality movie that people want to see that happens to have gay people in it. And with the Disney stuff, I don't think it's the end of the world if Disney wants to include a gay or bi character or whatever else. I know some parents say, they don't really want to have these discussions with their kids, and they would prefer that type of stuff not to be in the movies. But if you want to throw a gay character in or something like that, fine. I don't think it's the end of the world. But when the vast majority of your content is gay, trans, I think people feel like it's being shoved down their throats. Now, again, I think a lot of people thought that the returning Disney CEO replacing the former CEO, I believe his name's Iger, I think people thought he was going to bring some common sense to Disney, although some audio and video had leaked of him talking to Disney employees and basically saying, I'm going to calm down the general public about everything that's going on in the movies we've been putting out, but we'll continue to push the same agenda. However, then he came out and told the public, like, no, we're kind of backtracking on some of that stuff, which is basically exactly what he told the employees behind closed doors he was going to do. Disney is a stock that I'm looking at shorting. I was messing with Disney a lot back in probably like 2015, 2016, 17, 18. And I think back then the Disney stock was, I want to say, trading around $90. It's recently gone up a little bit, but Disney's kind of trading right around that point again. Disney's down pretty big on the year. And really, Disney is kind of destroying an iconic, really great company. There are some rumors that Apple is going to buy Disney, but Apple is even more woke than Disney. So that would kind of be the nail in the coffin for Disney. Let's see, inflation rose in October, but not as bad as expected. Biden came out recently and said that wages are rising faster than inflation. Well, I suppose now that, we're already at 9% inflation, the rate at which inflation is rising has kind of slowed down a little bit, and employees are demanding better wages. Also, we're in a very competitive job market, so companies are going to have to pay higher wages. But I think it's kind of disingenuous to act as if wages are rising faster than inflation. And I think it's also worth pointing out that the Fed actually does not want wages rising because they think that's going to make inflation worse. So they want the already high prices to continue going higher, and they want you to either be laid off or to make less money. So mortgage rates fell for a third week in a row. This is kind of weird because rates haven't dropped. We have the last Fed meeting coming up here shortly. Jerome Powell is kind of indicating that the hike might be 0.5% instead of 0.75%. People are acting like this is a turnaround. Rates are still going up. We're just not raising them as fast as we were before. So I don't necessarily get all the excitement about this, but I'm kind of confused how mortgage rates are dropping when rates continue to go up. Janet Yellen was recently on the Colbert Show the other day, and she was blaming Americans for splurging in regards to saying why inflation has happened. Now, when a government locks you in your house, doesn't let you do anything but shop, doesn't let you go anywhere, so obviously people want to make their homes more comfortable, so they buy furniture, maybe buy some toys for the backyard, buy a swimming pool, whatever else, to make their time locked in their homes a little bit more enjoyable. Because the government's making them, and then the government prints a bunch of money, yet somehow the American people are to blame for inflation. Just kind of seems out of touch. Apparently, Sweden is considering an electrical vehicle ban to avoid blackouts. This is kind of interesting when California and a lot of other states want to ban anything but electric cars after like 2030, 2035. And I think the state of California is contemplating within the next couple of years banning any trucks that run on fossil fuels, gasoline, etc. So it's kind of funny to see this big push to electric vehicles, and then now there's this kind of push away from electrical vehicles because grids are going down in a lot of places. Keeping up with the electrical vehicle thing, I saw another story today. Tesla has rolled out what Elon Musk is calling the most badass semi-truck ever. Apparently, Pepsi is getting the first couple of these. From what we're hearing, they're 3 times more powerful than other diesel trucks on the market right now. And apparently they can go 500 miles on a single charge. I'm not in the trucking industry. I don't know how far truckers drive in a single day. But if you guys are truckers, have a dad who's a trucker, know anything about trucking, let me know if that's good or bad. Like, how far are truckers driving in a single day? Apparently, this vehicle also charges faster than other electric vehicles due to some cooling mechanism in them. Let's see. This one's not really business related, but I just thought it was kind of interesting. I don't know if you guys remember the story a few months back, about there was a cop who pulled up on a kid sitting in his car. I think he was on his lunch break from work. He must have worked nights or something like that. This kid was sitting in his car in like a McDonald's or a Wendy's parking lot. And a cop just pulls up on his car, goes and yanks his car door open. The kid obviously is kind of surprised because he's just, watching something on his phone, eating his Big Mac, and somebody rips his car door open. The kid's like, what the fuck? Kind of turns around, freaks out, and winds up pulling away. The cop lights him up and kills him. We hadn't really heard anything about that, but I guess that cop has since been charged with murder. I'm not really pro-cop or anti-cop. But I am definitely anti-bad cop. So, crime is bad. A lot of cities seem to be intentionally not prosecuting crime. We've all seen videos from Portland and Seattle and San Francisco of people just walking out of stores with armfuls of things. Security guards don't try to stop them. Police don't do anything. And nobody even bothers arresting these people because they know the district attorneys won't prosecute cases against them. What's kind of interesting, we've seen what a disaster these types of policies are on the West Coast. And within the past year or two, Chicago actually implemented the same policy. So Chicago was like, wow, stores like Walgreens and Walmart and Whole Foods and others are leaving entire cities because the crime is so out of control and shoplifting is out of control. Even at the stores that stay open, they're having to lock up every single item in the store, making things a huge hassle for shoppers. And Chicago said, wow, that seems like such a success. We're going to do that as well. But you're starting to see kind of the same thing happen around the country. San Fran just recently freed like 7,000 pedos. The world seems like it's going kind of crazy. Where was I going with this? But yeah, we're starting to see, I've seen a number of articles recently in cities like San Francisco, Seattle, and Portland where, small businesses that have been around since the 1950s are having to close down because they're constantly being broken into, having shoplifters, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let's see. Mortgage rates are currently at 6.67%. Mortgage rates are coming down a little bit. I think it's still probably likely that we'll see double-digit mortgage rates sometime in 2023. It's kind of pretty clear at this point that what the Fed is doing is not working. Let's see here. Big news today is jobs. Apparently jobs and wages are up. That's what all the media is saying. I know Zero Hedge has an article. It's probably one of their most recent couple of articles. They say these numbers seem like they're put together kind of funny, and they're kind of calling bullshit on the whole thing. But if it is true that jobs and wages are going up, that kind of shows that what the Fed is doing isn't having an effect or isn't having the effect that they want it to, and rate hikes will likely continue. Let's see, more people are dropping out of the workforce, either taking early retirement or just being NEETs. Let's see, over 10% of working age men are not in the workforce, education, or training, hence the whole NEETs thing. And apparently the number of men working or looking for a job has dropped 62%. So there were already a lot of men not working, and that continues to grow. Saw another headline. I didn't really look into this story, but apparently the New York Times newsroom is ready to walk out over a labor dispute. I also haven't been following the rail workers dispute too much, but I don't know, maybe you guys can fill me in on that one. New York Times newsroom is ready to walk out. Fuck them, let them walk. That newspaper is a joke, and they were one of the newspapers writing puff pieces about Sam Bankman-Fried. Layoffs increased 120% in November and are up 417% from a year ago. While layoffs still are kind of mostly tech and mortgage and real estate, they are continuing to pick up. If you still have a job, you're very lucky. Try to live more frugally, pay off debt, stay prepared, stockpile money for a potential chance to buy some really cheap assets in 2023 and 2024. I think, if you wind up losing a good job, it's going to be hard to come by. I've been saying this in like the last 6 videos, but we know that there's like 11 or 12 million unfilled jobs, more jobs than there are workers. And like 1 million of these jobs are government jobs, 1 million are, desirable jobs, either white collar jobs or skilled jobs. And the rest are basically barista, waiter, bartender jobs. I've been seeing another term pop up. We've heard about quiet quitting, the great resignation, all of this type of stuff. I saw an article the other day talking about, first we had quiet quitting, now we had loud layoffs. And I guess, we'll see if this term winds up taking off, but I guess the idea behind loud layoffs is that, well, most layoffs are in tech. Tech is kind of a bellwether for what's to come for the rest of the economy. Tech is typically the first area to get hit. Also, it makes news and it kind of rocks people's confidence. So when you hear that Meta's laying off 10,000 people, Twitter's laying off 50% of their staff, Redfin's laid off 28% of their staff, even if your industry hasn't been hit, you know that things may come to your industry next. And it just kind of overall shakes the confidence in the economy. I only got a couple minutes here and then we got to get running, so we'll try to start moving through this pretty quickly. Blackstone is limiting withdrawals from a real estate investment fund that they run. Investors are running to the exits but can't get their money out. And it's a different situation than what we saw with FTX and a lot of the crypto companies, but it seems like a lot of people are losing faith in third parties holding their money. I would be very careful who you let hold your money. When I was watching Stoic Finance earlier, he had a video for Gold Vault, or some company that you can buy gold from, and they store the gold in their vault for you. And while the convenience and safety of that may be attractive, in this day and age, seeing where the economy is going, as well as seeing that we can't trust third parties to hold our money, I think most people who want to get into gold or silver will probably want to hold the physical asset themselves and not trust a third party company to supposedly hold the gold that they have for you. CNN is laying off a ton of employees, as well as a lot of other media organizations. I've talked about this one before, but the FedEx freight drivers who are being furloughed, that's going into effect, I believe, next week. I'm starting to get more interested in gold and silver. I was going to talk a little bit about this more, but since we're short on time, maybe we'll save that for another video. I'm not out of crypto. I still have crypto, but seeing as how nothing in crypto can be trusted, and really the only safe way to interact with crypto is to buy it and keep it on a hardware wallet. You can't really fuck with DeFi. NFTs are kind of dead for right now. There's just not a whole lot that you can do in this space right now, and I think crypto will continue to go down even more. So I'm not going to say I've soured on crypto, but for lack of a better word, I have soured a little bit on crypto, and gold and silver is looking a little bit more interesting. Maybe years ago, I used to be much more so into gold and silver. I used to, as kind of a little side hustle, buy monster boxes, which is a box of 500 silver coins, and then I would flip them and sell them. There was a period of time where I was making a lot of money, and then there was that point when silver dropped from 45 or 50 bucks down to 12 bucks, and I pretty much gave up all my profits at that point. And we got two more things to talk about here. The Fed is buying massive amounts of bonds and sending money all over the world. Why are we sending more money to Ukraine? It seems like people worldwide are souring on this whole Ukrainian situation. I had a couple more notes about that, but we've kind of talked about that already. Let's see. Basically, I think the middle class has been under fire for a long time, but we're seeing the final destruction of the middle class, which, again, has been underway for a long time. One thing that's kind of interesting, I think everybody views themselves as middle class. People who are actually lower wage earners, they consider themselves middle class. People who are actually upper income, I think are, in this day and age we're living in today, people are shamed for having success or money. So even the people who are making a lot of money want to consider themselves middle class. I think the middle class is probably 300% larger than truly what middle class actually means. But I got to cut this video short. I actually got to get running. I got somewhere to be. But that is today's video. I think we touched on some interesting things. Sorry, I had to kind of move through everything so quickly. Didn't have a lot of time for today's video. But if you guys have any thoughts on any of the stories or things we discussed today, go ahead and drop a comment down below. If you guys enjoyed the video, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up. And if you ever watch my videos, please give them a thumbs up. It helps the algorithm and helps more people see the videos. And if you want to see more content like this, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button down below and ring the bell. As always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next video.